Dominic Cummings was the director of the Vote Leave campaign, and then he was the Prime Minister's chief advisor from 2019 in July until November 2020. So what does this mean for UK science? Because it's well known that Dominic Cummings was a big science fan. He championed British science and he championed science involvement in government and governance. So now that he has left, what does that mean for British science? Actually, it's probably a good thing. Now, I'm a fan of the fact that Dominic Cummings was a fan, and still is a fan, of British science and how it should be more involved in government. However, as per the Hippocratic Oath, first, do no harm. And if you look at the history of what Dominic Cummings has actually done with science, or caused in science over the last few years, there has been a huge amount of damage and very, very little gain. So what is this damage? Let's go through the catalogue. First, there's Brexit itself. Now, the Vote Leave campaign, which Dominic Cummings headed, championed science. If you look at the Vote Leave Twitter account, you will still see that it says invest in the NHS and science as part of its bio. But with about 90% of the UK scientists against Brexit, saying that it would damage, and it has damaged, British science, then the very thing that he was championing itself has caused a whole load of damage. Not just in our involvement in the EU science programme, where we have gone down, down, down many tiers of involvement since that vote, but also, for example, in losing the European Medicines Agency, which had a turnover of hundreds of millions and put us squarely in control of the pharmaceutical market of Europe, and we've now lost that. But furthermore, beyond just Brexit itself, Dominic Cummings was pushing for a no-deal Brexit towards the end of 2019, and that would have instantly ruptured all of our science contracts with Europe during 2020. So there is massive destruction there. Further, when Dominic Cummings came into power with Boris Johnson, they had, in the Conservative Manifesto of 2019, a doubling of science funds. Great, but so did all the other parties, and that was also the case in 2017. One of the ironies for me is that, and let me quote from Dominic Cummings' own blog here, the government spends about £250 billion a year with extreme systematic incompetence. And then he goes on to say, if we could just take what we know about high performance project management and invest it into some science pursuits and backing innovation, then it would have a lot more value than what we're doing at the moment, engaging with Europe and their programs. However, since Dominic Cummings has been in office, shall we say himself, then we have seen waste on a greater scale than I can ever remember with regard to procurement, whether it be the 100 billion earmarked for Operation Moonshot, which has provided no discernible benefit to date, or whether we're talking about the billion spent on PPE contracts, a lot of that going to cronyism, a lot of that wasted, or we talk about the other programs that we've had investment in, the OneWeb satellite system, or the carbon dioxide air scrubbers, another 100 million there, ill-advised. What we're seeing is, under his control, a government quite happy to throw money around all over the place on lots of ill-advised projects. So case after case after case, throughout the summer of 2020, we had these almost harebrained projects which were not based on consultation. When you set that against the background of years and years of Tory governments preaching fiscal responsibility, and yet the amount of money being thrown away, not just on Brexit, but also a poorly managed coronavirus response, it makes you think, well, what does this set up for Britain's future, especially in science? Where is the money really going to be now? Because if Dominic Cummings isn't there championing that we keep the science budget high. He may have just helped waste a whole load of money and then depart, and then the Treasury shut down investment in science a lot. As we go forward in science, we need to recognise that there is brilliance all over the world, and it's a team game. It's a genuine team game. One of the things that has really perturbed me, particularly this year, about the attitude of some towards science, is a sense of British exceptionalism. And whether it be in Brexit itself, about science and saying that we don't need the EU and a UK DARPA can replace it, or whether we were bragging about the world-beating test and trace system, or thinking that we could outdo Google and Apple for an app, or Operation Moonshot. Throughout all of it, there has been this kind of strand that we don't need to listen to the wider science community or the global science community. By a magic trick or a twist or a little dump of money, somehow we can ignore advice and just go off and pursue herd immunity when the World Health Organization is advising against it. Or ideas like this have actually caused us a lot more embarrassment than kudos. It shows that we're not listening to the right people, and it shows that we're not being level-headed. Britain is always best when it is part of the team, sometimes even leading the team, but actually being a team player. And that's what we need to get back to, because otherwise we will embarrass ourselves and we will cut ourselves out, and we won't be genuinely good. We will just be a parody of what a really good science country should be.